The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hey everybody, Corey here.
And it's me, Zach.
We wanted to tell you about our new show called The Coscarelli Factor.
You can find it on our Patreon at patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. The Coscarelli Factor covers every single film that Don Coscarelli has directed. And some other little bonus features in there too, like maybe the music videos he directed as well.
That's right. You can find all the episodes under the Auteur de Force tier on our Patreon page. Like Zach said, that's patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. And if you sign up today, you will get access to the complete Carpenter Factor series, where Zach and I went through every single movie that John Carpenter directed, from Dark Star all the way to, well, all the way till the end. So sign up today to our Patreon page and you can unlock all kinds of other things as well, like ad-free episodes and our monthly wrap-up After Dark show.
Patreon helps keep the lights on in the podcasting After Dark world. It gets pretty dark out there at night, and all your support keeps us from getting too scared.
And thank you to everyone who's signed up to our Patreon page. We really appreciate it. And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side. Podcasting After Dark presents TV Obscura, a deep dive into underrated and unknown television shows from our youth. Cartoons, sitcoms, cop shows, and much more. Sit back and enjoy some nostalgic fun with TV Obscura.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this month's episode of Podcasting After Dark presents TV Obscura. I am 1/3 of the TV Obscura team, Corey, a.k.a. Sleazy C. Joined with me, as always, my brothers from other mothers, Zach the Total Snackett Schaefer and Diallo the Armageddon Jackson. And this month, we are doing part 2 to our watch list, our TV Obscura watch list. I took great pains to go figure out what I named the first episode, and I've botched it twice now. TV Obscura Watch List, TV Theme Songs Part 2. That's what we're talking about, guys and gals. This one is our cartoon episode. So last episode was for Diallo. It was all for Diallo. This one is all for Zach. Guys and gals. It's format is going to be the same as last time. We're going to have a lot of music inserted into this episode, and we know y'all love it because y'all been listening to the last one like crazy. So, woo, can't wait to get into this one. But, Zach, buddy, did you have fun pulling your songs?
I mean, it wasn't hard.
Because half of them we've already discussed on TV Obscura.
Pretty much, and they're on my workout playlist. So actually, all of them are on my workout play. All my picks and some of your guys' picks are on my workout playlist as well. So yeah, this was a no-brainer for me. I've been, listening to cartoon theme songs ever since I could rip stuff from YouTube and get my own versions to have on my phone or on my iPad. I still have an iPod, believe it or not. Yeah, I this was an easy selection for me.
Yeah, it kind of was for me too. Basically, when we called it on this one, I mean, I already threw out my 3 that I was going to do, and the only thing that changed was their placement. But otherwise, I stuck to the 3 that I always knew I was going to do. It seems like we filled up our list pretty quickly. Diallo, how was pulling these songs compared to last episode? Did you go down as much of a rabbit hole as you did before?
I didn't go down as much of a I didn't go down as much of a rabbit hole. I have a lot of thoughts on that.
On your rabbit hole?
Yeah. So it was like I'm just as much into cartoon theme songs as I am to live action ones. But what I was noticing was that I feel like the live action TV theme songs were more catchy or consistent or had a higher quality to me than the cartoon ones. I love a lot of the cartoon theme songs, but it was harder for me to I don't know, say, oh, this is great. You know what I mean?
No, because the ones I pick are great.
Yeah, same.
No, well, yeah. I mean, I know. Like, there's.
I'm just busting your balls.
No, but that's actually true. It's like the ones, like there are great ones, obviously, but I had like a harder or like a easier time picking the ones for this one that I thought were great, as opposed to before. I like the last one. I just like I almost couldn't decide. And this one I was like, oh yeah, these are pretty much it. And it's not to say that like I can sing about 100 other cartoon theme songs and like them, but I was kind of acknowledging in my brain they were kind of like in different categories. So it was like, oh, I know this theme song, but is it, like Zach said, is it in my workout playlist?
Right.
No. Like, I probably wouldn't have most of these but I do have some. I do actually have some in my playlist.
Well, it makes me wonder, I'm sure, and we're talking like 60s and 70s, live action TV shows, they obviously put emphasis on that. But like, like when did like kid music start getting big? Like was like Shuki Levy and Haim Saban, like was like, did that kind of start that like sort of awesome, but I know that, I mean, Zach has stuff that's earlier than those and so do you. So there is some good stuff, but I feel like there was a tipping point at some point where cartoon theme songs were treated just as well or, lavishly, I don't know, spent money on like they would with the live action ones.
Yeah, in my journey through listening to a lot of the songs, it was sort of like, because I went all the way back to like some like 50s, 60s, 70s, is that, especially like the 70s cartoons were sort of like, when I first started watching them. I used to watch a lot of cartoons in syndication from the 60s. The songs were more like the more kiddie, maybe. Like, obviously, they're cartoons.
Right.
But I think because they were for kids, they had less. I'm using the wrong words because I don't want to say quality because it's not. I'm not really like saying these songs are less than, but I just don't think that they spent enough. They didn't spend as much energy on making the songs as like, quality because they weren't going to be heard by adult ears, if that makes any sense. So like, when we were doing the live action ones, I was going through this list and it's like, this person, the girl from Ipanema, was like the writer from that song and all these, but this one, it was like, I didn't come across that as much. And but one thing I did notice was that Disney consistently has some of the best theme songs in my opinion. And it's Disney, right?
Yeah, they're going to have the money for it and everything. And the talent already on Rolodex for it as well. I kind of like this conversation. Zach, throw your hat into the ring on this one.
Well, I would add too that it feels like it was really the 80s when there were more toy-driven cartoons and more action-oriented cartoons, more so than like the 70s. Maybe the late 70s is when it started, but feels like the 80s was when the testosterone for cartoons kind of amped up a little bit. So they amped up the testosterone with the songs too. Case in point with, a couple of my picks and one of your picks as well, Corey, that the energy is just a little more mature with the tone, which, I agree. I think the cartoons from back in the day were more kid-centric. So it was more like harmless type theme songs versus like, aggressive, here we go, let's get charged up kind of thing,
Yeah, and that's why I kind of included my honorable mention, which we'll get to, and it's like a post 2012 song, and I think that like by this point, I think they're realizing that, adults are watching these cartoons just as much as kids are. I think that probably came to realization in the mid 90s with stuff like the Batman animated series and things like that. And I think, I don't think you're wrong, Diallo. I think the studios probably put more money into 80s cartoon intros or into the cartoon intros starting around, the 80s and the 90s and then boom, it's like, okay, people are actually watching these that aren't just for kids. Right. Let's actually ramp up the quality and legitimize these cartoon theme songs.
Yeah, it's just that's it. I just that like cartoons of up until I feel like the last, I'm going to be as bold as to say just the last 10 years, have been thought of as just for kids in the United States.
Yeah.
And so not so much over in Japan, which is why I liked a lot. I mean, just besides the art side, I just liked a lot of anime because it wasn't just for kids. But so I do think that kind of translates into like the theme music.
Yeah.
And again, this is not me knocking any of it.
No, I get it.
Like
Yeah.
you drop a theme, I'll sing it. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
it's not like I'm just like, oh, these aren't good enough. But I just think in terms of like, I don't know, like melodies and harmonies and that kind of stuff, like the construction of the songs just like a little bit different. And I don't know. It's all
I don't
good,
think
man.
you're wrong. I think it's dependent on what era or decade we're talking about too. A lot of it, but let's sing. Let's get a little singing action going, and we're gonna, since this one is all for Zach. Zach's gonna kick us off, and we're gonna do what we did before, where Zach will just kind of go through all four of his 3, 2, 1 plus an honorable mention or dishonorable. I don't know what we have for that. If what we want to consider those, but whatever. And then we'll insert the music after Zach announces it, and it'll be the same as before, and everyone's gonna have a great time listening to some great theme songs. So Zach, why don't you kick us off, my man?
My first pick is, I guess my number 3. I believe we covered this show on TV Obscura, but it's from 1984, and it ran to 1985. It ran for 2 seasons. Kid Video.
I'm taking you to the flip side.
What happened?
Ay, ay, ay. We look like
Cartoons.
You'll be my musical slaves forever.
one season. I'll save you. What's going on here? I'll explain later. Let's go.
So, this theme song, which was composed by Haim Saban and Shuki Levy, and those names will come up, I believe, at least 2 more times in my picks.
Yeah, and mine too.
It's safe to say these are the godfathers of 80s kids programming music. These guys composed everything from the real Ghostbusters, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. If you look up their resume, it is insane. All the way up to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I mean, like everything these guys had their hand in everything. Sweet Valley High, they even did. So, they're just masters at what they do. However, the opening theme song, which the song is called Video to Radio, is by the actual performers in the show, the actors, Kathy Cavadini, Marshall Efron, Hal Rayleigh, Peter Renati. I think those are the 4 in the band. Yeah. And it's a super, like, what I love about this theme song is it kind of is the pilot of the show in the theme song. it covers the entire pilot of these kids like rocking out, very cheeseball, like the ultimate cheesy. When one of the guys in the band is like, yeah, they show him like extreme close up on his face. It's ridiculous. Arnold was it Arnold? No, the kid from the Brady Bunch, the Oliver. Thank you. Yeah, cousin Oliver. He's all grows up in this as the drummer in the band, and it's got such a quintessential 80s sound to it, and then it goes into the like the villain and setting up that they get sucked into this video game like music video cartoon world,
the flip side, baby.
Flip side, yeah. So I love it. I think we covered this show on TV Obscura, so I don't need to go into too much detail about the plot or anything. Go back and listen to that episode. But I love this cartoon. I love this theme song simply because of the nostalgia factor. There's no way, like, it has elements of Kids Incorporated, but it's all kid video, and it's a shame again that this show's not available on DVD, and I think we know why, because the music rights wouldn't permit it. But I will say really quickly before I pass it over to you guys, this band toured and had an album I believe in Israel, where Haim Saban and Shuki Levy are from. You can find it on eBay for buku bucks. And I'm sure they did the mall circuit back in the day, just lip syncing this song and a couple others. It's great. I love it. As cheesy as it is. Diallo, what are your thoughts about radio to my video?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I think it's sort of like peak, like 80s. It captures like 80s and then the 80s cartoon,
Yeah.
And again, we've gone over this show already. I love the show, and the song to it I love, and like you said, it's like it's in that genre. Like the best theme songs, like kind of tell you what the show is, right before as it's coming on. So you're never going into it not knowing what's going on when you drop in. So yeah, I don't know. From my video to my radio.
From Diallo to Sleazy.
Yeah, I'm with both of you guys. I love this song. To let you know, the episode of TV Obscura that Kid Video was on, we also talked about Pole Position and Galaxy High School, and that can be found back in July of 2021. Holy cow, guys. By the way, we're on episode 40 right now. We're recording episode 40 of
Insane.
TV Obscura, so that's amazing. All three of us talked about how much we love this show as kids, so I'll keep this one brief. This song, amazing. It's always amazing. I loved it as a kid. I love it now. I did have Myra go listen to every single song with me, and this one was, I'd say, in her top 3 favorites, if not her favorite. She had a great time with it, but she did want me to ask you, Zach, were you one of those 80s kids that would look in the mirror and sing and dance and everything?
Oh, yeah, I did. I kissed the mirror. I made out with the mirror. I practiced kissing on the mirror, too.
Oh, okay. Well, didn't need to know that. Okay.
Did you like comb your hair like the Fonz, and then like when you were done, like be like, hey?
Yeah, I did. I combed it like I wanted to look like Han Solo, so I feathered my hair, and or like Ralph Macchio in Karate Kid, I guess too. But I feathered my hair, and then would go, yeah. I'd have this look. I'd give myself a look. I think I still give myself that look, because Kristen will say like, "You're doing that face again." I go, okay, yeah.
Did you go?
Yeah.
But yeah, this one was awesome.
Gotta get going.
Kid Video rocks, and I wish we could get it on DVD, but I think it's nigh impossible to find at this point, right?
You can find there are pretty decent bootlegs out there if you search hard enough. And I'm not saying I own one, but if I did own one, I have all 65 episodes.
There you go. All right. Well, I mean, like I said, you guys and gals can go check out that one. One more of Zach's, maybe 2 more, are also in TV Obscura. So I'll let you all know where those are. But
one more.
Okay. What's your second one, buddy?
My second pick is from 1985, Jace and the Wheeled Warriors.
Thundering across the stars to save the universe from the monster minds. Jace searches for his father to unite the magic root and lead his Lightning League to victory over the changing form of Sawboss. Wheeled warriors explode into battle. Lightning strikes.
There's a power that comes from deep inside of you. As every day you're reaching toward the light. And you know there's a long way ahead of you. But when your wheels get you there, things will turn out right.
Just keep on turning, don't stop rolling. The fire is on. Wheel warrior. Metal drums burning, wheels moving. Wheel warrior. Just keep on turning, don't stop rolling. The fire is on. Wheel warrior. Metal drums burning, wheels moving. Wheel warrior. Wheel warrior.
The Wheel Warriors. What I love about this what I love about the
Thong,
Thuffer
thong,
and
thong,
Thuckatash, that's another song. So this song, my number 2 and my number 1 are very similar in the sense that they set up. There's a narration in the beginning that sets up the show and then kicks into the theme song. Jason the Wheel Warriors is. It's actually a French cartoon that it was originally like it was part of it's a French like distribution, I guess, but it's based on the Mattel toy line that came out, the Wheeled Warriors, that look, while the vehicles themselves, the toy line, are accurate in the cartoon, the characters like Sawboss, for example, and the heroes like Jace look nothing like the characters, the toys, the actual toy figures that came with the toys, and that always burned my shorts, grinded my gears, because I was always frustrated. I'm like, they don't look. It's not even like close. It is nothing like that. The villains of the Wheeled Warriors were like brains, right? And then the good guys were like these generic jumpsuit wearing dudes. There was no Jace with his white stripe in his hair, and this cavalcade of cool, quirky kind of Star Wars-esque heroes. And Sawboss was this big brain kind of veiny looking brain villain. The show itself was not the greatest. The theme song, though, I love. I just feel like it's a standalone song again by Shuki Levy and Haim Saban. It's a standalone song that I feel like, while it is thematically connected to the show, it feels like a pop song that you would hear on the radio. It's got female vocalists in the background. Keep it spinning, it's just really like Wheeled Warriors. Yeah, it's got that great like 80s kind of pre-hair metal sound, like pop, like a heavier than a pop song, but not as heavy as a metal song, right? Somewhere in between there. I love it. I love the song more than the show, to be honest with you, because I have the show on Blu-ray or DVD. I think Mill Creek put it out, and all 65 episodes. It's fine. It's just like not what you would expect. But the theme song for me kicks ass. Corey, what are your thoughts on Jason the Wheel Warriors theme song?
Zach, I don't know if you have this information, but did the toys come out before the cartoon?
They did.
Okay, so I feel like I was a very strong early adopter of this toy line. I adored it. I loved my gun grinner and everything. I had all the bad guy vehicles except for the big walker thing. I had all the bad guys, and I think I maybe had one of the good guys, but I actually didn't really care for the look of the good guy vehicles. And then the cartoon came out, and I watched a couple episodes, and I was like, wasn't at all what was in my head when I was playing with these toys. And you mentioned it earlier, the bad guys had these awesome brain figures, like these rubbery, plasticky brain things that could go inside of their vehicles, and I thought they were cool as hell. I loved them. So I love this theme song. I very much would watch the opening theme song, but I kind of hated this cartoon. And again, it's just it's expectations versus reality. Like it wasn't what I was playing in my head. Now, maybe if the cartoon came out first and then I played with the toys, it might have been reversed, but yeah, I never really watched it because I was like, I'll just play with my toys. I don't really like Jace. I don't like how they're spelling his name, and I don't like his face. And I don't like any character that I see on this show.
Well, and I also want to point out that a lot of the episodes were written by J. Michael Straczynski.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
And he wrote about a quarter of them.
Okay.
And
Well,
He wrote some of the best
Captain-
Real Ghostbuster stuff.
he did.
Yeah.
He did. And
Captain, what's his name? Captain whatever we
Captain
did.
Power.
Captain
Yeah.
Power. Captain, what's his name?
What's his face?
The illustrious Captain what's his name?
You know, the unforgettable Captain
Unforgettable.
what's his name?
Right. So he's an interesting cat, Straczynski, because I think he has an interesting viewpoint on perspective when he talks about things. Because he's like, well, they had already envisioned that they were going to make a movie to kind of wrap up this show, and I'm like, why a movie for a show that really wasn't that popular? If you think about it, he's like, in the vein of G.I. Joe and Transformers. I'm like, wait, don't compare G.I. Joe and Transformers to Jason the Wheel Warriors. No offense. But anyways, yeah, I mean, like, I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there. The song, the theme song kicks ass. The show, not so much. Diallo, what are your thoughts on the Wheel Warriors?
I think that you're right. No,
The
yeah,
song
I mean,
slaps, but the show does not.
yeah, it was. This is a funny show because it's like, coming out of the 80s, we didn't have all the content, like all the devices to watch stuff in the past coming out of the 80s, right?
Right.
So like if you didn't have it on VHS, it almost was like forgotten, right?
Right.
So even though it wasn't that much time had gone by, you get to like the late 90s and you haven't seen it, and then somebody like brings it up. It's like, you remember that show Jason the Wheel Warriors? And you're like, oh damn, I remember that, but it's like a vague memory.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I think, it's funny because, like, I have, like, better memories of other shows, but I watched Jace. I remember watching Jace and the Wheel Warriors every, like, afternoon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I kind of remember the theme song, and I remember elements of the show, but it, like, the show wasn't good enough for me to bother to, like, really, really, like, set it in my memory.
Yeah,
if
get it
that
and
makes
get
sense. But
invested. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a big show, right? Like there was like a push for it anyway.
There was. I mean,
It was a push for it to be a big show, but it didn't really like catch on.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, yeah. So it's like, because I remember like a lot of the elements of it, they had, because like the one guy, I felt like he was trying to be Han Solo.
Oh yeah,
And then,
for sure.
and then you had like the Gandalf type
Yep.
Merlin dude.
Yeah, you're mixing a bunch of
then
different elements.
Yeah, the little girl, and then
You even
Jason,
have your
yeah.
Orko character in it.
Yeah,
The weird
yeah.
alien that you don't quite know what he is,
Yeah,
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 I
and they
think
were
he
just
was
all over the
Oon.
place. And then the Sawboss dudes, like they just like, it was the whole plant thing, and it just didn't jibe with the metal cars that the heroes had. And then they were flying around in like a ship. It looked like a, with a sail. It's just like there was all these elements all over the place. It just didn't come together
No.
like it could have.
Well, and I think that's the problem with, and here's the thing, with vehicle-based toys, trying to make a cartoon about them, because these started out as toys first, and you could, like Zach mentioned, they didn't really put any emphasis on the human characters for the toys, and it kind of makes me sort of think of like maybe the Bigfoot cartoon, which I thought that was not very memorable, even though we all the monster truck Bigfoot, not the Sasquatch, and I'm like, I think, and also maybe to an extent, Pole Position, which is a cartoon we all enjoyed when we rewatched it, but
Never
I
had
don't
a toy line.
Yeah, huh?
Never had a toy line.
But it was still
just a
based on like
cartoon
sort
mostly.
of cars, So I don't know. Maybe there's something difficult about like making a cartoon based on car-based toys, even though Pole Position didn't have any.
I think too, like this show fails in the sense that it didn't. Kids, I'm speaking personally, you're watching the show, you want to be able to play along and further the adventures with the figures you have in your hand. And if it's not looking anything remotely close to what you're watching on TV, it's not the same, And so for me personally, I was like, okay. I mean, I had the vehicles. I thought the vehicles were cool, but the buck kind of stopped there. Like my imagination wanted to go to the actual people, characters. So yeah, I think, it's nostalgic to watch because you're like, oh, wow, this is interesting that they did a show like this. But now it's just like, there's so many other good shows. I'm just blown away, too. And I know we've talked about this before. 65 episodes. They made 65 episodes of this show. So all of you young listeners listening to us, that's insane to think about.
We got 13 X-Men 97 episodes.
Exactly. And people are losing their
Was
minds.
it even 13? It was like 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was like 8 or 9. You know when Jason and the World Warriors lost me in the intro is when, and not nothing to do with the song, but is when that one character with a vehicle that has a drill in the front goes underground and then pops back up. But it's like they're driving on a vine. So if she went under it, she would have gone through it and fallen through. And I was like, something's not right here. Even at like fucking like 8 years old, I was like, something's not right here.
This isn't right. This isn't. I call folly.
But Zach, is your number one choice right?
So I think it is. Okay.
I
So
know you do because you brought it to TV Obscura.
Yeah.
yes. So my number one pick, The Adventures of the Galaxy Rangers.
In 2086, two peaceful aliens journeyed to Earth, seeking our help. In return, they gave us the plans for our first hyperdrive, allowing mankind to open the doors to the stars. We have assembled a team of unique individuals to protect Earth and our allies, courageous pioneers committed to the highest ideals of justice and dedicated to preserving law and order across the new frontier. These are the adventures of the Galaxy Rangers.
Into these worlds where from no danger they ride. Them Galaxy Rangers, heroes in the sky. No, that's no glory. Oh, taking a stand, ready to prove it again.
The Adventures of the Galaxy Rangers.
Okay. So really quickly, I'll read the narration for this intro to this show. The narrator goes, in 2086, two peaceful aliens journeyed to Earth seeking our help. In return, they gave us the plans for our first hyperdrive, allowing mankind to open the doors to the stars. We have assembled a team of unique individuals to protect Earth and our allies, courageous pioneers committed to highest ideals of justice and dedicated to preserving law and order across the new frontier. These are the adventures of the Galaxy Rangers. No guts, no glory. Okay, I'm sorry. That intro, this song, to me is the greatest, theme song to get your ass off the couch and like pump your fist in the air and go do 100 push-ups. This show, or in my case, when this show came out in 1986, 10 years old, probably did about 10 push-ups. That's fair to say.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was pretty good.
Yeah.
It lasted for 65 episodes. I've talked about it before. If you don't know this show, I think you can find the DVDs. I'm not sure if they're available anymore. They might have been discontinued. I believe all the episodes are on YouTube. It's just a great song. The theme song is just great. And it's a standalone song. The theme is by Phil Goldstone and John Van Tongeren.
Question mark?
AKA Johnny Vancouver. And then another song, Rangers Ride Forever, which I believe I mentioned this in the TV Obscura episode. He was part of the band FM, and that they were a UK rock band. That's another pretty decent song, but No Guts, No Glory. Man, it's on the Blood Brother mix that I love by DJ A. You can find that for free on SoundCloud. It is a compilation of like some of the best 80s kind of movie anthems, and there's 3 of those actually. But the Blood Brother mix, I believe they're called. Man, No Guts, No Glory is just a kick-ass song. The animation's really good for this.
Oh,
the
yeah.
opening episode is really dark. It's actually kind of creepy, and I love that. Diallo, your thoughts on No Guts, No Glory?
No pain, no gain. One for all for one. Riding round range. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Freaking loved I loved Galaxy Rangers. I loved I loved the theme song. Actually, kind of like the end music a little bit better.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay.
For no reason. I just a lot. I mean, just the show itself, and we've gone over the show before, but it's the show had a lot. There are a lot of elements of the show that I've taken with me in my life, just in like my storytelling life, because I remember it was one of those stories in that realm that first started to have like little bits of like story arcs going through, or at least character arcs, especially like with Goose and and his the soldiers, the super soldiers or whatever they were,
Right.
And I still there's one episode I know that I always remembered was the one. It was like 1 Million Emotions, I remember, and it was just a great sort of like episode that had to do with like getting what you want, and sometimes being careful what be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
And it was very poetic and tragic. But the theme song is awesome. And there's a music video for it.
There is a music video. Yeah.
It's cool too.
Very
Does it
cool.
use elements of the cartoon? Or is it like official video?
It is it's the characters in a band playing the music. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll
okay,
have to find
I
that.
didn't see that.
link and put that in. Yeah, I didn't send that to you guys, but we'll have to seek that out and put that in the show notes as well.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'll have to link to that one. And guys and gals, we covered Galaxy Rangers back in February of 2022 when we talked about Freedom Force and Pirates of Darkwater. This intro is awesome. I love when the music kicks in, and I'm always a sucker in animation where the camera spins around the character, and I love the hand motion the chick is making, like she's doing her thing and everything. But there's this right when the music's about to kick in. Again, like last time, I don't have the words to sort of like accurately talk about music, I don't think, but I was getting shades of Heavy Metal the movie when I can't remember if it's the intro, if it's the opening song to Radar Lover, or Radar Rider, that one.
Yeah.
But right when the narration goes off on Galaxy Rangers and starts kicking in and I just got shades of like Heavy Metal, and just I get fucking goosebumps every time that guitar riff kicks in, because in my head I can also see the visuals of the Galaxy Rangers doing their thing as the camera is. I mean, I'm literally getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it right now. I love that shit. I love that cartoon, and I love this theme song. Go check out the TV Obscura episode that we did back in February of 2022.
And what I will tag on one more thing about that. One of the beautiful things about this show was the animation in the intro, which is so fantastic, is just as good in the overall show. throughout it.
I think we talked about that because we also compared it to like Mighty Orbots and stuff like that, and how the intro was amazing. But I think Orbots was also just as good as the intro, and I think we were talking about animation quality and always comparing it to Thundercats. How the intro is never quite as good as the body. But Galaxy Rangers and Orbots were kind of like the Mighty Orbots were kind of the exception to the rule in that regard.
It always comes back to Thundercats, crapping
Always.
on Thundercats. It really does. I'm sorry.
It does.
Yeah, and I believe if I didn't mention the toy line that came out for this goes for buku bucks on eBay, and it was short lived, and I believe they only released like 3 of the 4 Galaxy Rangers, maybe or 4 of the 5, whatever. If you want to go on eBay and give someone all your life savings for one little action figure, go for it. Because I probably have at one point. So my next and final honorable mention pick is another show we've covered on TV Obscura, Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea.
Shine like the sun that lies beneath the sea. Divine is the one we call terror. Far from the world we knew so long ago. Mine is the land Arcadia. We pass all the stratas in our magic ship. We're strong, for our hearts now beat as one. Matt and Rebecca believe our gonna brave while the sun still burns. Go, follow Spartacus to the sun beneath the sea. We're so near to the universe, which is long disappeared. Rainbow dawn of Arcadia, shining sun beneath the sea. Child of the earth above the stratospheres, so wild are the stories that we hear.
Dare I say, dare, this might be the most obscure show that I've covered on TV Obscura. To the point now where it's really hard to track down the American dubbed versions of this French show, Les Mondes Engloutis, or The Engulfed Worlds is what it was called. Ran from 85 to 87. It's a French cartoon. Covered it on TV Obscura, I believe in one of our first episodes.
It was the first one with Diallo.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
technically our second episode. We talked about Mighty Orbots and Roughnecks, the Starship Troopers kind of chronicles, as well as Spartacus and the Sun
Right.
Beneath the Sea.
Right. Okay.
And
so
that was back in December of 2020. My God.
Okay. It blows me away. Yeah. So, Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea, go back to listen to the full breakdown discussion about that. But it's a very, very obscure show about these 2 little kids that fall into the Middle Earth and they have to help save the dying sun, pretty much. But the theme song is by Menudo. There's 2 versions of it. There's a Spanish version and an English version. Don't go looking online for I think the link that is in our show notes is the version I'm talking about. But if you go searching for Spartacus theme song, you'll find another version, which is not good at all, in my opinion. This one is like, it's just so different. It's so weird. Just like the show is weird, it at times the show makes no sense. I love that Menudo sings this song. I whistle this song all the time, much to the displeasure of Bodhi, because every time he does, I whistle it, he's like, "Oh no, that song again." I'm like, "But it's good. Follow Spartacus to the sun beneath the sea." Like it's melodic and unique. Like I never heard anything like that. And I remember as a kid watching the show on Nickelodeon, back when Nickelodeon had Pinwheel and all those other small, like you can't do that on television. And they weren't
Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse, Banana Man, which Danger Mouse almost made my list, by the way.
Oh yeah, I fucking love that intro.
That's a great intro too. Great show, great song. But this song, just like for me, I just can listen to it. It's very like, it's relaxing, but it's like a journey song. We're going on a journey. Where are we going? On a show that isn't all that great, but the song sure is, in my opinion. Corey, how about you? What's your thoughts about Follow Spartacus to the sea?
It's funny. The first time I listened to it, I didn't quite dig on it, though I do agree it's melodic. It's not bad. It's not my cup of tea is sort of the thing about it. But after listening to it multiple times, I kind of found myself kind of getting into it a little bit. Of all of us, it's one of probably my least favorites of the entire group. But that being said, I don't think it's a bad song. It's just not my steez, basically.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. Diallo, your thoughts about Follow Spartacus?
Well, I will agree with Corey in that it might be like the least favorite of all of our songs, but I will put the caveat that I actually love every last song on all of our lists.
Yeah, I get
so
it.
Fair.
Not that for me it's not a knock at all. I just sort of I think what it is like it's the only one I'm not familiar with at all. Like, and so I remember, and the thing is, so I remember we did this episode and way back when, and I kind of in my head I kind of had a little dismissive feeling about the theme music just because the show in general to me was weird, and I don't know.
It's weird. Yeah, it's a weird show.
Yeah,
Watch
like
it
the animation
inebriated.
wasn't really. Yeah, the animation wasn't really. I don't know. It just was. It didn't seem very well done. I don't know. But, and so when I saw it on your list, Zach, and then I was like, oh, okay.
This one again.
Yeah, this one again. And I clicked it.
I literally thought the same thing. I was like, oh, this one again.
I was like, oh, okay, here we go. But I clicked it. And because I never actually, the first time I never watched it with the intention of listening to the theme song, but I immediately listening to it this time, like the first time, I was like, I like this a lot.
It
I
grows
like
on you.
like it a lot, and I think a lot of it is that I don't really know the origins of the theme music and. But it felt very much like a lot of the themes that I listened to in anime that I had heard from kind of that same era.
Yeah.
And I think like it was like those songs were like more produced and more complex than the songs that you got on like American cartoons. And I think that's kind of like partly why I liked it. But it had, like you said, it had that melody. It was kind of like it had a little journey to it.
Yeah.
And
It has
it
has a bigger sound too than a lot of those earlier, cartoon theme songs and everything.
Yeah, it has a little like it has like a core, like a, what do you call it, the choir in the background or whatever.
Yeah.
So I actually really liked it. I was just like, oh, this is actually pretty cool.
It grows
So
on
kinda-
you.
Yeah.
It
It
grows
does.
on you. Yeah.
I can attest to that. And I do think I actually enjoyed it much more by the last time I listened to it right before us recording, because I did one more go through all of them. And but yeah, it's like I said, it's not that I think it's a bad song. I can see the quality put into it, and I actually like the lyrics. I like sort of like what it's sort of explaining to you and everything. But like I said, it's just not something that like it hits me in that certain way,
What's funny is the show that like has an intro as well, a narration, and it talks about Arcana, who's kind of like going to save the middle world, but the song is all about Spartacus, who's who we're supposed to follow into the sun beneath the sea, and like, guys, figure out your shit, or do some more drugs and maybe trip on some more mushrooms, and you'll have a whole other journey, because it is like a mushroom journey. I think if someone is inebriated, they're gonna be like, this show's amazing, and you're like, I don't know what's going on, I don't care.
So Zach, it was a French production cartoon, but then they got a Spanish band to do the music.
Well, so there's like 3 different theme songs they had the French version, and then they brought it over to the States, and then they had a Spanish version as well.
Okay.
And then Menudo recorded the American version, the English version. Menudo recorded the English version and the Spanish version.
Okay. So they did double duty on that. Wonder if they got paid once or twice.
Yeah, no kidding. And Menudo, for those that don't know, Ricky Martin was in Menudo, and I think that was like the biggest. They were a teeny bopper band back in the day, and they were really damn good. I believe they were on Silver Spoons. So at one point,
Yeah.
Oh my God, you just blew my mind because it's a piece of information that I've always had, but I totally forgot. But literally, the reason I even know who Menudo is because of that Silver Spoons episode.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to impress Consuela, I think her name was.
Jesus Christ.
Good
And then
Lord.
she was like, "Oh, Ricky, I love you." And then she really loved Ricky from Menudo and not Ricky Stratton.
That's right. And then Ricky's like, I'm gonna go move to Iowa or Idaho and live on a plot of land and have my QAnon friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
so
course.
I may or may not have seen that episode.
All right. So yeah, that's my picks, and I'm sticking to them.
I mean, they're all bangers. They're all bangers, and they all slap. Zach, I'm happy for you, buddy. I'm glad you.
I'm happy for you, buddy.
It to be.
I'm happy for you.
not to keep going on and on about Menudo, but
about Menudo.
I mean, well, no, because like I in my course of listening, because I remember they did sing a theme song for an ABC show, Rubik the Amazing Cube.
Yes.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, and they also like, I mean, they were when there was like a big push in early mid 80s for Menudos, and they were like Menudo on ABC. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
They would do some of their videos like going through the shopping mall and all these other songs. So they were pretty big. So it makes sense that like
That's right.
they would have pegged them for that theme song for that show.
Yeah.
Just because they were kind of like, they were around for the English market, I should say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, like it's a song. If you threw that on a Menudo album, people wouldn't even know it's a theme song. They'd be like, "Oh, this is a cool pop song." It's got that like synthesized harmonica. That thing, I love that.
Well,
Anyways.
we love you, buddy.
Yeah,
Was that a harmonica or was that a kazoo?
I'm the kazoo kid.
The great kazoo.
Kazoo. I just want to say
Diallo.
thanks for being my special friend.
Diallo, buddy. Let's go through your list, my man. What is number 3?
Number 3 is the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends theme for Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends from 1981.
Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar. Spider-Man and his amazing friends.
So, the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends theme song was written by Johnny Douglas. He was a English band leader, and he actually conducted music for lots of different shows. He did for Spider-Man, His Amazing Friends, Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, Dungeons and Dragons. G.I. Joe and Transformers. So he was the conductor for a lot of those. He didn't write as my understanding was that he didn't write the music for a lot of those, but he was the conductor for a lot of those shows. But he did apparently write the theme song for Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And in my research for this, I discovered for the first time, I'm today years old, that I discovered that the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends theme song, which is just music, actually has lyrics, which blew my mind. I had no idea. It was almost as like once I heard that like the Star Trek has music, has lyrics, I was just as mind blown when I found out about this.
Wait, what? I didn't know about the Star Trek theme has lyrics too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll have to go check those.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. We'll do a TV Obscura on Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah, that was a joke.
No one's heard of that show.
No.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's I mean, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the show, was probably like for me like one of those peak shows because mostly DC cartoons were around that were like on a certain level, and then Spider-Man, this new version of Spider-Man was out. There was also another Spider-Man cartoon that came on at the same time, but that was just Spider-Man. It had a different theme music, but same animation studio and everything. But yeah, introduced. I mean, had X-Men on a episode. Had all these other characters that you saw in the X-Men comic books, and I think I actually probably was watching that before I even kind of really fell into the X-Men. So I had actually read X-Men before I saw them on the cartoon, but characters like Sunfire and other ones that appeared on Spider-Man and Amazing Friends, I saw them on that show for the first time. So, what do you think, Corey?
I think I lived and breathed Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends growing up. This show was absolutely, at one point, everything. I absolutely loved it. Had a massive crush on Firestar. Still think that costume's hella hot. I like sometimes simple costumes. I think that one's...
It's valid. That's valid.
Yeah, very hot. So, yeah, hot. Touche. Ba-ba-bum. And here's the funny thing, Diallo. I can, in my mind's eye, I can see that entire intro, that opening, that giant flame monster that's like the size of the city.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm like, how were they supposed to fight that? Everything flipping around. The fact that they had a Incredible Hulk picture behind their painting behind their sofa,
Love
and
that.
it flips over. But the thing is, I could walk you through that entire opening, but I never would be able to tell you what the music sounded like. But listening to it now, it's one of those things where, and again, this is not a dig. It does its job. It kind of has this upbeat, fast-paced, kind of beat going to it. It's very fun. But I don't know if I heard it just randomly, if I would say, oh, that's the Amazing Spider-Man, theme song. Now, maybe it also has something to do with the fact that I'm kind of like a lyrics whore. I'm a singer whore. I don't listen to a lot of music that's just instrumental. I very much love lyrics and stuff like that, and vocalists. I love singers. So maybe that's something to do with it as well. But yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome, even though I don't, wouldn't be able to pick it out of the crowd. I fucking think it's awesome, but it's also probably because it's going with the visuals that, my God, like I said, I adored this cartoon as a kid. I absolutely loved it. So it's still awesome. It's a great cartoon, and it's a great intro. It's a great theme song.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. It took me back because I watched the hell out of this show. I was kind of surprised that it only lasted 24 episodes, but it was over the course of 3 seasons.
Yeah, I feel like I spent more of my childhood watching it than that.
Yeah, maybe just I saw a lot of reruns, but and quick shout out to Christy Marks because she'll come up again when Corey brings up one of his picks. But Christy Marks, I believe she's the one that came up with the Firestar character, and she came up with she wrote for Captain Power. She wrote for Red Sonja and Conan and Elf Quest.
Yeah.
She's just a badass. I saw her speak about a show that Corey will be bringing up in his top songs. And she wrote a lot of fun episodes of this show, or Firestar and Sunfire. She introduced Sunfire. The show, it's so cool, to see that animation style of all the Marvel villains, because that's the Marvel that I grew up on. That's the Marvel that I love. That, when the movies came out later on in life, and I'm like, what are they wearing? Wait, what? Green Goblin's got a freaking mask on. Like, wait, what? No, come on. I want to see this Green Goblin, you know, in the intro to the show. You're like, that's the Green Goblin that I love, that I used to draw pictures of back in the day. And the theme song is so great. And it's so like, okay, it's Saturday morning cartoons. It's like totally Saturday morning cartoons. I think that's probably why it was only 24 episodes. It didn't run Monday through Friday. It just ran every Saturday. But I loved it. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Man, yeah, like you said, dude, this is my era. It's same as like sort of the X-Men cartoon is my era of X-Men and everything. This is kind of like my era of Spider-Man and Captain America and Green Goblin and everything. Just, it's so classic, you know, and you look back now and you're like, you know, there were so many iterations over time, but we all kind of go back to this. We all kind of go back to the versions from the 80s. And I think maybe there's something simple and fun about some of these classic designs.
Yep.
Firestar being one of them.
It's funny because like this was one where I kind of, my list changed a little bit because I actually had the 60s Spider-Man on my list for a second, because that is really iconic. But
Yeah.
Is that the one with the lyrics? Does whatever a spider, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I love that. That may make it on to
Yeah.
round next year's round because I
Yeah.
still sing that. You know, does whatever a spider can. You know, it's so much
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's almost like it was almost like it was so iconic. I was kind of like, well, like it's not quite Obscura, you know what I mean? I think everybody kind of knows that one. So, but I really love this version, and it's funny because like there's 3 versions of Spider-Man cartoons that I really love, and so I really loved the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Me too.
But I was not really a big fan of the opening theme. It was almost like it was a little too, I don't know what it was.
90s?
Yeah,
It's too
like
90s.
Spider-Man, It was just like
Extreme Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Extreme.
it was like a little bit, and that cartoon also was like a little bit. It was almost like it moved at a really fast pace. They talk real fast, and whatever. I still liked it though.
That was the cartoon where he's shocker, I'll chase you to the ends of the earth, shocker.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So it's just, but like this particular version of Spider-Man, like the one with his amazing friends. I used to watch in syndication a little bit later. I used to watch the singular version of Spider-Man that was this cartoon without his amazing friends. But the amazing friends one was just like it was just iconic. And I think this is where I first met like Iceman, obviously it was where I met Firestar. And then eventually she appeared in the comic books, and I loved her in like, especially in New Warriors, I think she was.
Oh, is that they finally brought her in? Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, she was with there, and she had like a little romance thing with Marvel Boy / Vance Astra, I think.
Yeah.
It was, and that was a great. Oh God, I need to go back and read those books. But yeah, it was But this particular one, it was sort of like the iconic versions of a lot of Marvel,
Yeah.
The classic, I should say, the classic versions for a lot of characters showed up in this cartoon.
Now, I will say it's kind of ironic that you didn't include the original Spider-Man one because you're like, it might be too mainstream, because your next pick may be the most mainstream and well-known cartoon theme song of all time. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah. So, I had to go through lots of different feelings about lots of things. So my number 2 is the DuckTales theme from 1987's DuckTales.
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales, woo! Every day they're out there making DuckTales, woo! Tales of daring, do bad, and good DuckTales. Danger! Watch behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. What to do? Just grab onto some DuckTales. Woo! Every day they're out there making DuckTales.
So DuckTales, the song was written by Mark Miller and performed by Jeff Passetto.
Johnny Vancouver.
Yeah, Mark Miller actually co-wrote some bangers in adult contemporary words. So he wrote "Crush" by that Jennifer Page sang, like late '90s. It's a crush, just a crush. Everything I touch. And he also wrote That's What Love Is For by Amy Grant.
Oh, yeah. Great song.
Yeah, great song. And he also wrote Nothing at All by Heart.
Oh,
co-wrote.
God.
He
I love
co-wrote a lot
Heart
of
so
songs.
much.
Yeah. So, yeah, he co-wrote those songs. So, yeah, and he also he co-wrote the theme for Rescue Rangers, I believe, and Chip and Dale. So he was on that Disney grind.
Making that Disney cheddar.
And, yeah. And the theme for, actually, a side note, theme for Rescue Rangers was produced by Alf Clausen, who was the composer for Simpsons.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So he also I brought this up for the last episode, like very briefly, but Mark Miller, he also wrote the lyrics for the 50s and 60s songs. Like he updated the lyrics for the 50s and 60s songs that were on the show Rags to Riches that I mentioned briefly last time, that had like what's his name, Gina from Martin, and the girl from Just the 10 of Us, and another girl from Annie. I can see all the actors. I can't think of any of their names. So we probably will do that show at some point on this one. But yeah, he's won lots of Emmys. He won an Emmy for Life Goes On, and Quincy. And then Jeff Pasecco, he wrote for like space, he wrote some songs for Spaceballs and Dirty Love, a song called Dirty Love on License to Kill album for James Bond.
Wow.
So I kind of bring all of that stuff up because, again, it's like when we have I'm talking about pedigree a lot, like I talked about it last one, and so it's sort of like I can see why these songs popped a lot more than like some of the other songs.
Hit makers.
And yeah, and it's just, I don't know, like it's DuckTales. Like as soon as you hear it, it just like, it catches you right away. And it's just, I don't know. It's just like, yeah, it's DuckTales.
It's one of the greatest theme songs of all time. One of the greatest cartoons of all time. I didn't watch the sort of the reboot that they put out on Disney Plus like 3 or 4 years.
Me neither.
It's good. I thought it was pretty good. Bodie and I watched it. Because everyone was like, "Oh, go see the movie that they did." The movie's okay. It's not as good as the TV show back in the day, but the reboot's good. It's a little tongue in cheek and self-referential at times. So which makes
did the theme song get rebooted as well, or did they just like update the classic one?
Yeah, it's a variation on it. It's not bad. It's not this though. And it's not the Nintendo theme, I can tell you that, because the Nintendo theme for the Nintendo DuckTales game was equally amazing. And it literally just played the 8-bit version of this theme song is a banger too.
Yeah, I had that game as well. Zach, I mean, keep talking, buddy. I have nothing else to say. I adore this cartoon. I adore this theme song. It lives rent-free in my head since 1987.
Well, I will say, like, I was never a huge fan of the Disney block, but DuckTales was always one that like got a pass for me. Like I really liked it. Like it was of the shows. I wasn't a huge Rescue Ranger fan. I wasn't a huge Chip and Dale. Like I watched Darkwing Duck, but I didn't like, go gaga over it. Cause I was more in the action, adventure, drama cartoon phase of my life and then this was like everyone watched DuckTales. Everyone had the comic book. Everyone played the video game. I think I liked this show more because of the video game.
I'm really glad you sort of mentioned what you did there because I'm thinking back to me, and as a kid, movie-wise, I've talked about a million times. My dad taking me to see Aliens, Predator, RoboCop, all by the time I was 9 years old.
Right.
Like movie wise, I was not into Disney movies or kids movies in general.
Right.
But I was very much into Disney cartoons. I loved Darkwing Duck. That was one of my favorites. Tailspin was my favorite because it was the first time that I was like, oh my God, you could take existing characters and put them into new scenarios. And now because of Tailspin, I love that concept, you know?
Right.
I loved DuckTales and everything. So yeah, gargoyles, gummy bears, all this kind of stuff. So it just, you mentioning what you did just made me realize I never thought about it before. As much disdain as I had for Disney movies at the same age is how much I actually love Disney cartoon TV shows.
I think they got it right, in my opinion, because it was a 30-minute episode versus an epic 90-minute movie where a mother or a father has to get killed and to push the plot. You know, this is just like the little quick scenarios. It's fun. Gummy Bears. One of my favorite of all those shows was Gummy Bears, but DuckTales was definitely a close second.
Nice. Great pick, Diallo. Great fucking pick, man.
I love Disney movies. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about me, baby. You can love them all you want. But once you watch a man melt on screen at the age of like 8 or 9, it's hard to go back.
I watched all of those things concurrently. They're all like, I don't know. They're all. I do agree with you with about the like DuckTales was actually the only like in that, and I think in that block like they had like DuckTales. I think they rolled in Gummy Bears a little bit later, but I used to watch Gummy Bears when it first was airing on like in the morning.
It was
on Saturday
mornings.
And it's actually funny because I actually. You know, when I saw like DuckTales debuted in '87, I don't even remember it coming on like then. I remember seeing it in that Disney afternoon block with Tailspin and Chippendales. And yeah, I didn't really I know the theme songs to both of those other shows, but I didn't really watch them because I don't know, they just didn't really entertain me. But it was like across the board, Disney TV shows had a better level of animation. You would hope,
right?
Than
they better
than all of the other shows. And there's another show that came on, I think, before all of these, and it actually it was one of the first songs I looked up the theme song to because I was kind of curious if I would put it on here, and I kind of didn't. But again, it had like the level of music it seemed a little higher than a lot of other shows, and there was a show called The Wuzzles that was by Disney, and I think it was like 83, 84.
I can almost hear the lyrics in my head. It's almost there. It's kind of off in the distance, echoing.
I can sing it for you. We're the Wuzzles, ooh yeah. We're the Wuzzles, oh yeah. Anyways, yeah. So, yeah. But I don't like Disney movies are great. I don't know what you are on about. But anyways,
I mean, hey, everyone's got an opinion.
Like an asshole, everyone's got one.
Like 90s cartoons.
Diallo, what is your number one, buddy?
My number one is called The Cruel Angel's Thesis from 1995's Neon Genesis Evangelion.
残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になら青い風が今胸のドアを叩いても私だけをただ見つめて微笑んでるあなたそっと触れるもの求めることに夢中で運命さえまだ知らない痛いけな瞳だけどいつか気づくでしょうその背中には遥か未来目指すための羽があること残酷な天使の手で
Diallo, I'm so glad you actually included the name of that song, because when I was looking it up, I was like, that's a heck of a name right there.
Well, you were looking at like the Japanese version.
Yeah.
So, Evangelion is an anime. I had to check with you guys before like doing this one, because it falls a little bit out of the, like, I think, criteria of what we've established mostly for, like, even like for TV Obscura. But it's from 1995, and it also is one of my all-time favorite just like pieces of music for any animated show. And because it's like the anime tends to have like there are, let's put it this way, there are other anime that are a lot that have come later that I would have like put on my list for animated shows, you know what I mean? So Cowboy Bebop kind of, I guess I could have fit it in there because that was 1998.
I was shocked that you didn't put that one on.
Yeah,
there.
I just felt like it came a little too late. That's the only reason why I didn't put it on there. But yeah, Cowboy Bebop easily would have been on there. The like the sequel, not a sequel, but like the next show that the director did called Samurai Champloo would have put it on there. There's the Star Blazers, there's Gatchaman, like all these shows I could have put on there, but Evangelion's theme is just, I don't know, like the first time I watched it, it's almost like I love the show, but the song gets me hyped for the show every episode, even if the episodes, because like there's a stretch in the episodes where they kind of get, as you move along, they get like darker and like trudgier. It's harder to get through them, but that theme song pops every time, and I will just watch that. Like I look forward to it, and for me, that's kind of what you want from a theme song. It's like, at least if the show's not always great, you have that theme song to get you started. But yeah, there's a couple others I would have picked. There's one. There's a show called Ah My Goddess. I was gonna pick that one. There's so many, but I went with this because this is probably my favorite. Yeah. So what did you guys think? How about you, Zach?
I'm not familiar. I'm like, I know about this show, but I've never watched it. And so I think much like you guys were like, that's a Zach pick. I was like, that's a Diallo pick right there. It was definitely in that vein. And the intro is beautiful and to be expected with an anime show. And it has a large scopeness about it. It definitely feels more adult, like in its vibe, more mature, and but man, it's a beautiful piece, and hearing it in Japanese is really rad too. So I should watch the show.
Yeah, for me, it's like, so there's two things. Like, either I need the like, a song could be sort of standalone, or I need the visuals. Like, if I was listening to the song, I wouldn't really sort of probably be into it, but I love the intro where, and I've never watched the show, but I've lived during this era, so I've known of it. Friends who've watched anime, I've caught bits and pieces of it. It looks cool to me. I'd love to watch it one day, but for me, it was the way the intro was cut to match the music, especially like the second half of the song where it really starts picking up. It's like boom, 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 and you like start doing these quick cuts, and it's like, that's like I said, I need the visuals to go with it, but that's what it's for. It's the theme song for a cartoon. It's a visual medium, so I think it works absolutely amazingly as a piece that goes with visuals. I haven't listened to it without the visuals, but I can kind of tell that I can't speak Japanese, so I probably wouldn't really sort of latch on to it. But with the visuals, it's a fucking banger. Absolute banger.
Yeah, apparently it's like a very popular karaoke
okay.
song. So, yeah, so it has done pretty well over the years, just like outside of the show.
Well,
So,
I gotta say, like I said, I had Myra listen to all of these, and she liked this one, but she's like, oh, it kind of reminds me of her favorite theme song of all time, and that's the '90s English version Sailor Moon song, and she played it for me as well, and I'm like, I can see that it kind of has the same sort of fast beat to it and everything, but it's
Yeah.
also very. I don't have I don't have the ability to sort of talk about it, but I like it. I liked both. I like the Sailor Moon one as well, but I very much liked this Neon Genesis Evangelion one as well. But I think the visuals really help sell it. Like I said, I liked it. You know what I'm talking about, Diallo, where they it has this quick cut that goes with the beat, and it's like the last quarter of the song,
I think there's literally a part in it when I first watched it that like hooked me because it kind of like it goes dun 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 dun, and it like flashes all these characters' faces, and it kind of gives you visually, it gives you the same thing that some of the shows that we were talking about that has like they tell you what the show is about.
Yeah.
Like this, like Jason the Will Warriors, that kind of, or like Galaxy Rangers, that like tells you what it is.
Yeah.
This one sort of like visually it shows you what the show is about,
And I'm a sucker for like editing on the beat and the tempo, I'm a sucker for that. Which is a lot of trailers do that, and I'm kind of a sucker for trailers sometimes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's it has that same like a lot of the Japanese theme songs have a same flow about them with the singing and the voice, and like the a lot of them are upbeat and like really kind of bombastic and kind of in your face, even if the show isn't quite that. So
it's a great pick, man. Great pick.
Yeah.
Loved it. What's your honorable mention, or is it a dishonorable mention? I'm guessing not the latter.
Yeah, I hate this one. No, I'm just kidding.
Because it's Disney.
I can't believe you, like, whatever.
I'm just not a Disney guy. I'm just not.
No, but it's like, I don't know, man. Anyways, they built a whole empire.
I know they did build an empire.
Gargoyle. My pick is Gargoyle's theme song from 1994's Gargoyles.
1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. It was a time of darkness. It was a world of fear. It was the age of gargoyles. Stone by day, warriors by night. We were betrayed by the humans we had sworn to protect, frozen in stone by a magic spell for 1,000 years. Now here in Manhattan, the spell is broken, and we live again. We are defenders of the night. We are gargoyles.
Gargoyles theme song. It was produced or composed by Carl Johnson, and mostly we know it for the most epic voice over ever by the one amazing Keith David,
So good.
who also played Goliath on the show.
Yeah.
Johnson also was the composer for music from like RoboCop Alpha Commando. Do you guys remember that? It's like a late 90s Mighty Ducks, Aladdin, Freakazoid, Animaniacs. He was like the composer in the episode. He didn't write those themes. But,
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Gargoyles was my show.
Yeah,
man.
motherfucking
Like,
Gargoyles, baby.
Gargoyles,
You and
baby.
Fern
Like-
and me too.
Oh, like it was like, and again, this was another one where it's like when it comes on, like I could just watch the opening theme, right? Like it just was like it set the tone. It was so much darker than all the other like shows on, and it was Disney, so it had that level of like the pedigree of animation on it.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, it was just so epic. Oh, so good.
Yeah. No, I think here's the thing. So I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, the lyrics are just Keith David's voice. And, you know, I got no beef with that whatsoever. He can talk to, you know, I can listen to him talk forever.
Right.
But the song itself has this great build up and crescendo that I really like that goes throughout the entire song. And by and Keith David's sort of vocals match it. Like, so maybe 2/3 of the way through, he's like, and now we're back. Like, you know, his voice like kind of goes up with.
And we live again.
Yeah, that. Like, yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
I like that even though it's like a narration, his voice is almost musical. And I've always liked how he really hits like, and we live again. And it kind of goes with the swell of the music and everything.
Yeah.
I really dug that. I lived off of this fucking show as a kid, man. This was massively my wheelhouse. I thought it was cool as hell. And hey, Jonathan Frakes played the bad guy. Okay,
Yeah.
hey, I'm a big TNG kid, so you know.
Yeah.
it's great.
You know, it was his delivery, right?
Yeah.
Like through it wasn't just his voice, but yeah, it's like he starts off 1,000 years ago.
Keith David. Yeah, it starts
Superstition
slow and then
is so
and then we live again, and it just builds. It's so good. I love it. I love it.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, this might, in my opinion, might be the best Disney cartoon that came out in the like the late 90s,
mid 90s,
early mid 90s.
Yeah, and then Laura San Giacomo was on it as well at one point. She was a recurring character on Gargoyles as well.
Mrs. Matt Adler.
She is Mrs. Matt Adler. Yeah. No, I love it. It's a cool intro, and you've got the what does he call it? He calls himself like the Silver Throat or something like that.
Oh yeah, his Instagram handle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa.
it's Silver Throat. No, it's great, and I'm glad that it's actually getting more love now. It's getting love again. You know that, and if there's going to be a reboot or a continuation of the series, which they might as well just do a continuation of the series. So when it came out in what 94, like you said, I was watching this on a regular basis. So it's awesome, and amazing voice acting cast is like top to bottom.
Yeah. No, this is classic, absolute classic. So.
This was
great
one
picks,
over the
man.
years. Over the years, I was always like, why haven't they like? They do reboots of everything else and remakes, and I was like, why haven't they done one for this? Like, this was primed to be a movie. And like, I just never really knew why they didn't. You know, but I guess they're due. They announced one, I think, last year. Like, they're going to be doing a new series, and I don't know if it's good. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a reboot or continuation, but like, this show is actually primed to actually be a movie.
Yeah,
you know,
it should be.
And
I always wish they made Jonathan Frakes' castle building like an actual play set or something. I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah, but that's the thing about the show for me is like it does, like I feel like it actually was kind of big and talked about by people, but then like it was gone and it was just like gone.
Yeah,
like,
once it was gone, it was kind of gone.
It didn't appear, and like you said, there were no play sets. It doesn't appear in Disneyland, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just kind of
it's not a property that you go to Disneyland and you buy. Like they don't have any like they might have like one Gargoyles shirt, and they probably have it now because it was, you know, it's been put out on Disney Plus, and you know, I think a couple years ago people were like, oh, you know, had big downloads because of that. But yeah, for a while it's like a property it felt like they didn't really care about, and it makes you wonder if, because branding wise, DuckTales is a word that they can own. I don't know how much they can own the word gargoyles, because it's an actual word.
Right.
It's like if you were trying to own the word ocean or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there might be something to do with the brandability of the name Gargoyles.
Yeah, you actually made me think while you're talking how like DuckTales, they don't need to like push DuckTales per se as a property because they already owned all those characters. Right? So they could just, you know, push out Scrooge McDuck or whatever. It doesn't have to be DuckTales. But like Gargoyles, and also because like Gummy Bears basically disappeared also.
And I think it's probably because of the same reasons.
Right. And that's, you know, that came off of like the candy, right?
Right.
So yeah, so maybe that's why, but I'm sure there's some stuff going on with it, but I don't know, man. That cartoon, it was just
I'm
was
just glad
so
we got
good.
cool ass Gargoyles toys now.
Right.
Yeah,
The
oh,
toys
yeah,
are great
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one in my cabinet that Fern got me, and it's just so amazing.
And there's really quite a few Star Trek alum actors on the show as well.
Yeah,
There's like
yeah.
over like half a dozen.
Like almost all of them.
Yeah, the only one missing is like Picard and Kirk, and that's about it. But everyone else is on there. So
Yeah, because wasn't
don't-
Dana Troy on there too?
Yeah, she played Demona, I think.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like LeVar Burton and Marina Citrus and Brent Spiner and or Sirtis, sorry, Michael Dorn.
Wasn't Frank Welker the dog?
Yeah, yes, he was. Kate Mulgrew was on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, good old Kate Mulgrew.
Yeah, like so many great. If you look up the cast for this, it's just pretty outstanding. So
And who's front and center? Jonathan Frakes, baby. Riker, one of my favorite Star Trek characters
It was
of all
so
time.
mind blowing that he was even on the. I remember when like the show came on. It was like, I was like, wow, that's Riker, and it was
Right.
so like he was so good.
I know.
It was so good.
So
That's
good.
because Jonathan Frakes is so fucking good.
Yeah, he is.
All right, guys and gals, I will kick it into my number 3, and it's a cartoon that Diallo just mentioned, and it is Adventures of the Gummy Bears.
Dashing and daring, courageous and caring, faithful and friendly, with stories to share. All through the forest they sing out in chorus, marching along as their song fills the air. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. Magic and mystery are part of their history, along with the secret of gummy berry juice. Their legend is growing, they take pride in knowing they'll fight for what's right in whatever they do. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. They are the gummy bears.
Bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the Gummy Bears.
Das Gummy Bears are delicious.
It's funny because like if I think of like my kind of style of music, this isn't quite it. But my God, this hit me so hard. But here we go. Gummy Bears is an American cartoon created by Jim Magon, who also worked on Tailspin, Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, etc., and produced by Disney, that ran for 8 seasons from 1985 to 1991. The series, loosely inspired by the Gummy Bears candy, takes place in a fantasy world of medieval lands and magic and focuses on the lives of 7 mystical beings known as Gummy Bears. The theme song was composed by Michael and Patty Silvershire, who they also worked on Tailspin, Rescue Rangers, and DuckTales, and sung by Toto's lead vocalist and composer John Williams' son, Joseph Williams.
Yeah, he's. They were mostly studio musicians. Toto. They were not like a live touring band, but my God, were they phenomenal.
Yes. So I loved this song. Obviously, it was, my God, I think a lot of people can sing it. But like, this was also back when Disney cartoons were like on Saturday mornings before they started doing the whole, Disney block afternoons with gargoyles and stuff like that. And I remember as a kid, I was just like blown away by the animation, blown away by the world. It feels like a very fully realized world, like right out of the get-go. And I loved their treehouse. I thought it was, amazing. It's nooks and crannies, the house. It's awesome. And it's so funny because like I said, as I gotten older, I look back and kind of it's one of those things where this shouldn't have been a Corey cartoon or even a Corey theme song, but it was so good. And Corey still has a heart inside. I feel things. Things are felt inside of me.
Yeah, big lug.
Yeah, big lug. And yeah, as a kid, this just like, back in the day you didn't know it, but it gave me the feels. And I listen to it now and it gives me the feels and it makes me feel fucking like a kid again. And I will say real quick, I realize, aside from my honorable mention, all 3 of my cartoons started in 1985. So there's got to be something there. I was 7 years old in 85, so there's got to be something there to that. But Diallo, The Adventures of the Gummy Bears. What are your thoughts, buddy?
I hated that show so much.
No!
It was terrible. No. Yeah.
How can you hate that Gummy Bear?
you know I don't hate that show. This song actually it was gonna be my number one.
I know. I took it for you.
Yeah.
Once you were like relinquished it. Well, I had mentioned it before, and then you're like, but I would have given it to you if you wanted it, but then you relinquished it. So I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I kind of like when I was picking mine, and I remember you like you said it, and then when you were like, oh, that was gonna be mine, I was like, oh, I'll let you have that because I kind of I was tussling with like putting other songs on mine, so I was like, oh, I'll let you do that one. Yeah, but that would have been my number one. I love the theme song. I had like the complete version somewhere on my computers, and there was one time I was doing karaoke in Culver City, and like in between the songs they started playing Gummy Bears, and I got up and I started like wasn't even like a song to sing for karaoke, but I got up and I started singing because I could just riff off all the words, and everyone was just amazing. It was really fun. Like I just love the song. The cartoon, I love the cartoon. Like you were saying, I loved the world. I loved how it gave the gummy bears their powers, but then it gave like the humans had like super strength, and it was like it had that I know we hate Disney stuff, but it had that sort of like Disney magic with Pixar where it's sort of like a hidden world. So it's like the youth had a special world that the adults didn't really like have access to, right? So it had that secret world kind of vibe that Pixar has that a lot. And it just, like the castle, and then in the later seasons, they introduced a couple more gummies. And there was actually like a little bit of expanding on the world. And it was really fleshed out. And I just loved it. And again, it's another one I really wish that we could see some like a movie version of it. But then I also like feel like if they did one, it would be like, fart jokes and
as they're bouncing around,
people being crass and making and being smart, Alex, and that's not really what the show really was. But anyway, and it was also a show where I remember the first season it had Gavin was the kind of like the hero, but then I think it was the princess started to have in the second season, or like the second part of the first season, she started having a lot more adventures, and that was I think it was one of the first times I really started seeing more stronger female characters coming out. So yeah, it was really cool. I loved Gummy Bears, still love it. They're bouncing here and there and everywhere.
High adventure that's beyond compare.
That's right.
Yeah.
They are the gummy bears.
They are the
Zach,
gummy
thoughts?
Getting gummies getting high on adventure is a whole other story nowadays. It's a classic. I feel like Disney really, I had wanted to see action figures when this came out, and I believe there might have been PVC figures, the ones that don't move, they just you put them on your shelf or whatever, but there weren't playable figures for this, and I thought they really kind of dropped the ball when it came to that, because the show was so popular and it had the opportunity to open up a whole Dungeons and Dragons type world. I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I loved I was hooked. I was watching this show on a regular basis back in the day. So the theme song plays semi-regularly in our house to this day. And nothing but great stuff to say about it. It definitely is a number one type pick for favorite cartoon.
Zach, I just thought of something as you were talking about, there weren't that many toys, or, you kind of have vague recollection of toys. I'm thinking back on all of the Disney cartoons that I enjoyed, and I never had a toy for any of them. And maybe the one I wanted the most was probably Darkwing Duck, and they didn't exist. And now, I'm starting to think, I'm looking at the bigger picture I guess Disney didn't feel like they needed, like the cartoons kind of stood on their own. And I think DuckTales might have had those PVC toys as well. You know?
I feel like it might have been like a McDonald's thing where they were
Right,
you could get a
yeah.
McDonald's Happy Meal, but yeah, I don't know. Like they just didn't release
They
the toys
didn't
for
do
it.
that whole toy cartoon thing that like He-Man did and everything.
No, but I was
The
even
only-
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the only one that actually did was I think the Wuzzles. I think that one came out as like toys. That one was very like toy focused.
Okay.
But I think you're right. After that, like it was like more the cartoon than it was like the toys. Almost were like an afterthought, if that.
I mean, even Smurfs, had their little PVC figures, but the Smurfs toy line was huge, down to the fact that they had like the mushroom houses, and they actually had a lot of kind of play sets at the time. So I'm surprised they didn't jump on that train, because it's kind of ripe for that. And maybe that's a whole issue with it, calling it gummy bears and not being able to claim, 100% of the ownership over that. So who knows?
Yeah, I am curious about that back deal. Like, they're loosely based on the candy. Like, do they still have to pay the candy company?
Yeah, Trolley or whatever.
Yeah.
The German company.
Yeah, who knows? Yep, anyways, classic banger right there. Gummy Bears. Everyone fucking knows that song. My number 2 is Truly Outrageous. So, Jim and the Holograms is an American cartoon produced in collaboration with Hasbro, Sunbow, and Marvel that aired for 3 seasons from 1985 to 88. The show follows Jerrica Benton, the owner and manager of Starlight Music, and her alter ego Jem, lead singer of the rock group Jem and the Holograms. The theme song, Truly Outrageous, was the opening and closing theme for the show until late 1987, when Gem Girls became the series' opening theme in the majority of the episodes, and Truly Outrageous was kept as the show's permanent closing theme. Truly Outrageous was composed by Anne Bryant, who also composed the Transformers theme. So, for me, Jem and the Holograms is a show that I did not watch as a kid because in syndication where I was in Maryland, it was, so G.I. Joe was at 7 a.m. and Jim was at 6:30. I would wake up around 6:45 and catch the last bit of Jim, waiting for, while making my cereal and waiting for G.I. Joe to come on. But that means I listened to that theme song all the fucking time. And, I'm sure if you asked 7-year-old Corey if you like this, he'd be like, no, it's a girl thing. But in reality, because I know 7-year-old Corey, he fucking loved it. and he loved the animation, and he secretly wished he woke up early enough to see it. But little Corey, just like old Corey, has never been a morning person, so I'll sleep as long as I can. And I never watched Jim and the Holograms. I've maybe seen 1 or 2 episodes, my entire life. But as I get older, I think it's a cool concept. I'm glad it exists. I would love to have the time to actually sit down and watch it. But this, specifically the Truly Outrageous theme song, I think is an absolute fucking banger. Forgot who I went to first last time. Zach, what are your thoughts on Jim and the Holograms?
It's amazing. I highly recommend you get the Shout Factory box set that was put out years ago, because it does this show justice. Christy Marks, who I brought up with Diallo's Spider-Man pick, she's the one that created it. I remember seeing her at a Gem retrospective with Fern way back when, and had a bigger appreciation for this show after seeing that. I watched this show. I wasn't like hooked on it, but I really appreciated the intro. Talking about intros, the animation for intros, this is one of the greatest animated intros of the 80s, in my opinion. Right up there with Galaxy Rangers. Like it's phenomenal. It looks like that rotoscoping where they, drew over an actual person performing, because it looks like that. Unfortunately, the actual animation in the episodes is not that great. It's not as good as the intro, but it's fine. Like, it's still good. And it's got original music. Like, all the music on there was original. It wasn't like Kid Video where they were just covering, songs. So that probably allows them, rights wise, to be more flexible with distribution, because it's not, Tears for Fears and Motley Crue or whatever. But no, I loved it, man. And this theme song is like another repeat listener in our house. When Bodie was younger, we had like cartoon theme songs always playing, and he would sing the theme song. He's got a poster of Jem, the leader of the Misfits, and Jem like holding a Tiger Beat magazine, and it's got a picture of Rio and Prince Adam on it. It's really funny. Like, he's got that big poster on his wall. It's a crossover show. It's a show that, like, I think even though maybe it was more female centric, like, I think boys could enjoy it too, because there was enough action elements to it that like kind of got them into it. And the music was great. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, and the character designs are fantastic. Although I do love the Misfits, and I have a sticker that says "Our songs are better," which is fucking
Their
awesome.
songs were really good, though. Like, go back to those episodes. The songs are really good.
Diallo, Gem and the Holograms, my man.
Yeah, it was. I loved that show from the moment I first saw it. And I remember I first saw it. It was like the Marvel. I think it was Marvel had a show, like cartoons on Sunday morning.
So it was called Super Sunday for some places and Super Saturday for other places. But Gem got its start with It was a block show, robotics, Bigfoot,
and the monster machines, the big, big, ugly, and mean.
Yep, and then Gem and one more cartoon. But Gem was the breakout of those, and they took the first like 4 15-minute episodes and turned them into the first, arc or whatever.
Yeah, they did. It was kind of like how G.I. Joe's first the mass device one, it was like 5 episodes that were. So I remember like, kind of watching the first episode and then, oh man, I got to come back next week, and I was really into it. And then however long after it actually went to series, and I watched it like religiously. But the thing was like, by that time I was like, maybe I was definitely in high school, I think. And, I watched cartoons often, always, and talked about it, but like it was like Jim I never talked about with anybody.
You can't talk about that in 85, buddy.
Yeah.
I know.
But I'd listen to like all the songs. I could sing. I can sing some of the internal songs from the show. Like that, I liked it that much. I remember recording them and had songs on tape or whatever. And like, it wasn't until I like literally, it wasn't until like the late 90s I was talking with my friend Zach, or Joya, and we were just like I was talking about something, and I remember saying like how I loved this cartoon, like Jim and the Holograms, and it was like the first time I admitted to like anybody.
It felt good, didn't it? To like get that off your chest.
Yeah, and like by the time I was saying this, I was like in my late 20s, almost 30s, and it was like, and I was like, I never really told people because it's like I wasn't allowed to like that show.
Yeah.
But I was like devoted. I loved all of it. I just loved all of that show. I loved, and it had that element of like superheroes, because like they had the alter ego, and then she could transform the holograms. But I liked like the drama parts, and like even though like Rio, is Rio toxic, or is Jerica / Jim toxic for like wanting Rio to like date either Jim or Jerica, whatever, you know.
Right.
Stormer always will have my heart, though.
I know you love your Stormer.
Yeah, I love my Stormer, and I'm one of those. I don't think the Misfits are better, but you know, I know it's cool to like the villains. You know, like Magneto Magneto was right. Magneto was right. What's his
Johnny's
name?
a good guy.
Thanos had a point. Whatever, but I still think they were cool, and they all had like interesting backstories that they kind of like started to reveal a little bit with like the Misfits, and then you know they brought in some characters later for the holograms, and yeah, I love that show so much, and that movie was a travesty.
Yeah, that movie did not do it.
I want to ask too, because apparently in 1986 Nickelodeon had a contest with Hasbro, in which an individual was asked to call a toll-free telephone number and sing the theme song of the series. I'm wondering if you called that theme song, Diallo, because the grand prize winner would receive $7,000,
And a blowjob from Jem.
a trip to MTV Video Music Awards, a 19-inch color TV,
Good
a
Lord.
VCR.
That's worth like $10,000.
19 inches. That's crazy.
A Gem home video library, a dress identical to the Gem doll, and the cost of $1,000.
So clearly not for guys, then I guess.
Apparently
Well,
not,
so
because the winner was a 12-year-old girl.
I was about to say, I have to admit to you guys, I still have the dress. No, I'm just kidding. No, now that we're talking about it, I think my sister actually had the Jim doll, now that I think about it.
The dolls were considered, they were going to be a flop, but they ended up being pretty popular.
Yeah, and
they
the early
were like Barbie size, right?
Yeah, and then like in around 2012, 2015, somewhere around there, like a high-end toy company put out these new Gem dolls, and apparently they just blew off the shelves, and so much so that they made like 15 to 20 of them, like different ones, you know, and now they go for buku bucks on secondary market.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, and you know, I'll just caveat and end it by saying, if it was on at a different time, I probably would have watched it, but here's the thing. If it was on at a different time, I would never have watched it. It's because it was on at 6:30, I caught the tail end, is how I discovered it. So I needed that to happen first in order for me to then want to see it. And actually, after I did start loving the outro song, which is truly outrageous, once I was like, after I was like, oh, I really fucking like this, I would like to actually watch this. It just, couldn't find it playing sort of any other time of the day that it was accessible. But the catch-22 is, if it started that way, I never would have watched it, because it would have been, I would have considered a girl's cartoon. So it was the only way that it would have landed in front of me was this way.
Yeah, even
You
if
had
you
to be
want
inceptioned.
Right.
Yeah, I had to be incepted. Yeah, exactly. I had to be exact, just like the DuckTales cartoon, the comic book, DuckTales comic book. I had to be incepted.
Exactly. And if you did watch it, then you would would never admit to anybody that you did watch it.
Until 2024. Exactly.
2024.
Because go back to a giant conversation that we always have about the 80s, and the fact that like we couldn't, you know, boys couldn't say we love you to each other because, you know, like just like at the end of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure,
Right.
You're an FAG if you have any kind of feelings towards your friend, you know.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Oh, man, the 80s.
Wow, that guy, now I want to go cry.
I know. You're not allowed to, Diallo. You're not allowed to.
I mean, you really aren't.
I know.
Still.
Number one. Mask, baby.
Masked crusaders working overtime, fighting crime. Secret raiders who will neutralize soon as they arrive. The Tracker's gonna lead the mission, and Spectrum's got such supervision.
Mask was an American cartoon produced by Deke that lasted 2 seasons from 1985 to 86. Again, 85 for all of mine. It was based on a series of action figures by Kenner that feature transforming vehicles and drivers that all have unique masks that they wear, giving them unique powers as well. By the way, MASK stands for Mobile Armed Strike Command, and that's command with a K, kind of like Mortal Kombat. The villains are Venom, which is an acronym for Vicious Evil Network of Mayhem. The theme song was composed by Shuki Levy and Haim Saban. I love these toys. I love the cartoon, but more than either of them, I love this opening theme song. It is so right up my alley, that synthy sort of beginning to it, and then just the emotion that like he puts it. I don't know who the singer is of this, and maybe one of you guys do, but I couldn't figure it out. But the emotion that the singer puts into it, I love it. The lyrics are trash. They're fucking terrible. But because of that, I kind of love them because they're so bad. By the way, this was Myra's favorite of all the songs that we listened to. And I'm sure it's a lot of people's favorites. I feel like I kind of stole it from you guys. I'm sure one of you two would have put it on your list as well. But this is my favorite cartoon theme song. Well, okay, I take it back. My honorable mention is technically my favorite, but growing up, this one is my favorite. This is a theme song that I can listen to without the visuals and just put it on and jam out to it. And guess what? That's what I've been doing for the past week. It's jamming out to Mask. Diallo, thoughts on Mask?
I'm looking it up, and it was sung by Rob Paulson, it looks like.
So I saw that, and I don't know
think
if
that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, I can't trust the internet anymore, especially with AI hallucinating things.
I know.
I'm not sure.
I saw that. And by the way, Zach and I interviewed Rob Paulson, so go check out that interview. And he didn't mention anything about singing the Mask intro.
This one says Larry Leon, Illusion is the Ultimate Weapon, written by Shuki and Haim, but performed by Larry Leon.
Okay. All right. And Zach, do you know who he is? Like, is he a singer for a band or anything like that?
I don't know who Larry Leon is. I mean, I just know that voice from that song.
Yeah, okay. So Diallo, Mask, buddy, what'd you think about this one? What was the name of the actual song itself?
Illusion is the ultimate weapon.
There you go. Diallo?
So this was another one, I religiously watched the cartoon. This show was out like when I was like sort of like too old to play with toys by this point, but my brother had them. So I think he had the trackers ship, his car, and I know he had the motorcycle.
The green one with the yellow guy on it?
Yeah,
I had
the
that
helicopter.
One too. Yep.
Yeah. I love it. And it's funny because when we were doing the TV, like the live action themes, I had one of the songs I had gotten in there from the start was the Mask theme song. I think I messaged you guys and I was just like, this song is such a banger.
Yeah.
And it's really the part that hooks me is like what you said. It's that synth opening. It's like do 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 do. It's just like it gets me every time. But then it gets to the lyrics, and like you said, like the music of it is very like direct, right? It's just like do 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 do, and then it gets to like the lyrics, and they're not great, but they're so earnest.
They're so
right, it's like,
oh my god, secret rangers who will neutralize as soon as they arrive at the site. And I'm like, these are terrible lyrics.
lyrics.
But for some reason, they're also terribly great, too.
Yeah. It's like, Tracker's gonna lead the mission.
Spectrum's got such
supervision. It's like, it's weird how they just pulled those pieces out to talk about them. But it's like, it's also why it's great.
Yes, it's why it's great.
Oh man, yeah, I love Mask, and I think that's one of those ones I think that it might be coming to a theater near you soon, jumbled up with G.I. Joe and Transformers, I think, from if you watched into the later Transformers movies, they kind of left the door open for some of that stuff to happen. So, yeah.
Banger.
Banger.
Zach?
Yeah, this would have been in my top 4 probably if we did a 4. I had the toys. I love the cartoon. Again, the cartoon's not the best, but it's pretty good. I have the box set. I've watched quite a few of the episodes fairly recently, and I still have. I've got Matt Tracker's car, and I've got Hondo's 57 Chevy. At one point he had like a truck, but then he got a 57 Chevy that was souped up, and it's just such a cool concept. The toys were amazing. Maybe one of the greatest toys of the 80s. Like, there were so many of them. And talk about diversity too. Like, they had, it was the first toy that I ever saw someone that was of Indian descent, and they had like spanned the globe. They had indigenous people. Like, it was really more so than G.I. Joe. Like, it was almost like they said, okay, G.I. Joe is doing a little bit of this. We're going to one up it and even have more kind of cultural diversity, which I really appreciated too, you know, and the toys were cool. They were just like super neat, and the figures were pretty simple, but the masks were so rad, and the play sets were so good
for the size of the figures, because you know the cars are the main thing, you know,
but the figures are important.
But of course they were, and their sculpts for being, you know, like half the size of a G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Their sculpts were fantastic, but even better were their masks.
Right.
I just, and then just the playification with the toys and everything. It's just, my God.
And you know I'm a sucker for anything I can put in my pocket. So,
yes.
And these guys were like, you could put 2 of them in your pocket. So, no, and and I didn't know that this actually had like a second verse to it.
About Venom. Yeah,
about Venom until, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I heard the extended version, or probably 10 years ago when I was trying to find the song to play for Bodhi. It's just great. It's super nostalgic. Lyrics are trash, but that's what makes it kind of good in a way, because you're just like, it. I don't know. It's just, it's such a fun song, and it's on my workout playlist.
Oh,
so there you go.
I can imagine. Yeah,
it's crazy because it's like, I would say that these lyrics are probably more trash than most other lyrics.
Yeah.
But also, this song is probably like tops better than those other songs.
Right.
It's so weird how that pendulum sort of worked, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. That was a good one. And I knew that this was going to be one. Again, like always, I'm sort of the mainstream guy, and I think a lot of people consider this to be one of the best theme songs of the 80s. But man, Shuki Levy and Haim Saban, my God. So my honorable mention, Diallo, I was kind of like you. I was like, I don't know if I want to put something this new on the list, but it's an honorable mention, so I kind of want to talk about it. And that is the theme song for the 2012 iteration of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Get right with the shell shock pizza king. Can't stop these radical dudes. The secret of the ooze and the chosen few. Emerge from the shadows to make their move. The good guys win and the bad guys lose.
The third cartoon series featuring the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was produced by Nickelodeon and aired for 5 seasons from 2012 to 2017. It expertly combined everything that was great about the first 2 cartoons and the original comic series. TMNT 2012 had a great sense of humor, exciting action choreography, and lots of pop culture references. There's even one episode was inspired by aliens, complete with Mikey saying, "Game over, man." The theme song for TMNT 2012 is an updated version of the original theme from the 80s cartoon. It was composed by Sebastian Evans II and Stan Martinez. And so, guys and gals, this is my favorite cartoon of all time. I love TMNT 2012. I think it's it's like I said, it combines everything that's great. What I loved about the comic books, it combines like when they go into full ninja mode and they go full action, their eyes turn white, and everything. I thought that was super cool. Because as a kid, I actually never liked the 80s cartoon because I grew up on the comic book. And I was like, why are they so kiddie when the comic book was so not kiddie?
Yeah.
But this intro, I wanted to include it here as a discussion point as like how far theme songs have sort of come. And I think it's a great example of like how to update a theme song from the original and just crank out a fucking banger. And it's one of those theme songs where, even when Myra and I were watching it on, this cartoon on streaming services, we never, ever hit skip on the intro, to the point where, I'd say for the past 5 years or so, the Tron theme is my alarm when I wake up. But for a good solid 5+ years, this theme song was my alarm that I woke up to. And that's how much I fucking love this theme song. Zach, what are your thoughts on TMNT 2012?
So I never watched the show. Was this the one that had the Big Trouble in Little China episode as well?
Yep, had a lot of pop culture movie references in it.
I think I did watch that one, possibly. It's a little foggy. But yeah, I never watched the show. Always wanted to. Still on my list of things to do. But the theme song's really great, and I am on board with you as well. Like, I love the Eastman comic. I religiously got every single issue I could get my hands on back in the day. It was very hard to find for some reason at the comic book shop that I would go to, R&K Comics in the Bay Area and Comic Conspiracy in Sunnyvale. They always would always be out of stock. Like, it was very popular with skaters for some reason. Like, the TMNT comic was like, the cool kids got it. Anyways, the cartoon came out, the 80s cartoon, and I like it. I actually like it a lot, but I was like, oh, this isn't what I was hoping it would be.
This isn't what I signed up for.
No. And then the toy line, I was not a fan of the Playmates toy line at all.
Can I tell you, the only one I owned, the only Playmates one I owned,
Usagio Jimbo?
that was a good one. I actually kind of wanted that one.
Yeah,
was the Raphael one, because he had the red bandana, and they all came with like the same like a thing you could pop out the weapons.
Yeah.
So like I could make him Leonardo from the comic books. I could make him Michelangelo from the comic books because he had the red bandana.
Right. I mean, I will say NECA doesn't do the greatest job with their toys, but they have released some really cool TMNT figures, and Super 7 has as well. I actually really like the Mutant Mayhem cartoon. I thought that was really well done. But yeah, this show looks great, and I really like the theme song, so that's all I got.
Nice. Diallo?
What am I talking about here?
TMNT 12.
I said no. There were so many Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle versions.
Sorry.
I was kind of like, I don't know what we were talking about. I thought the song was fine. Like it feels like a 2012 theme song.
Yeah.
Like it was. I mean, it's cool. Like I liked it. It's hard because again, I almost immediately think of the 80s cartoon theme music. It's pretty iconic, but also that's a cartoon I watch a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I was more like, when it first came out, I think I was just happy that it existed, but I don't know that I loved it either,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same.
But I don't know. I've loved so many different enjoyed so many different iterations of Teenage Mutant. There's almost none that I haven't liked. I didn't like that There was like a movie, right? Like 2007. I think
there
that's
was
the only thing.
It was a CGI movie, right?
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I haven't
Yeah.
really like dug. But I mean, I've loved. Yeah, Secret of the Ooze. I didn't like that.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, and the third one. Yeah, for me,
the third one,
I love the comic book. I love the 1990 movie, and I love the 2012 cartoon. Are like my three
Yeah.
favorite iterations of TMNT.
But I actually liked those Michael Bay produced ones. I
God.
actually liked those. I know people didn't like them. I just because they didn't look like they were like visually supposed to or whatever. But I actually kind of liked them. I think I liked the second one even a lot more.
I just don't like
loved
Megan Fox.
I saw the second one with our buddy Jeff, and we were
Yeah.
so baked out of our minds that when we walked away from the movie, we both enjoyed it. We said that was actually good, but then we
Yeah.
both made an agreement that we will never watch it again because it'll never hold up to what it was this one time.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I like I said, I actually enjoyed that, and sometimes I feel like we go into as a species or whatever fans, we go into certain things with like baggage, right? So
Yeah.
I personally feel like Michael Bay's name was attached to that, and a lot of people have a reaction to him, and so like the general consensus is like, oh, give it. But I actually thought it was pretty well done, and I loved the score, at least for the first one. And I actually liked this last movie that came out, which is unlike any other way they've told the story.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it. I was like surprised. I was like, that's not Splinter. That's not. I didn't like. It's like I didn't like the way they did it, but I was like, but I liked how they did it. It was completely different.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So
I saw the theater with Myra. We both loved it too.
yeah, it's a well-told story,
Yeah.
and I think So I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those properties that is actually it can be told.
It's
across
very
different-
flexible.
I think that
different modes.
the Secret of the Ooze or whatever is a perfect example of, or Mutant Mayhem, sorry, a perfect example of a trailer really underselling how good a movie is, because and that's a good thing. Like I want to see a trailer and go, oh, maybe I'll check it out, and then watch the movie and go, whoa, I'm so glad they didn't spoil anything in the trailer, because they didn't really give too much away. I thought it was going to be lame, and I would go in watching it, and I'm like, this is way better than I thought it would be. So I'm, that being said, I'll give your show a chance to watch. Not that I think it's lame, but I will watch it.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, Corey. I actually remember you saying you loved the show.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And I actually started watching it. I mean, this is back in the day, so I think it was on Netflix at that time.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, and I started watching it. And I liked what I saw, like life and everything. So I didn't keep watching it. It didn't quite hook me, but I actually was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. So if I can actually track it down, I might actually start watching it again. So.
I have the DVD box set, but I think it might be
good
streaming
for you.
somewhere. I know. Fuck you. Fuck yeah.
I mean, we all do. Like, that's the thing, that's the bummer or the blessing and the curse to some of these shows is they did come out at one point on disc, and then they're gone. So if you can find it, some of these are still available. Some of them are not. If you do have the burning desire to watch Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea, you can go on eBay and some dude's selling them on there, the entire series.
Was this
Just saying.
This Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show, was it I was gonna say, it was on Nickelodeon, right?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Nickelodeon, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's an animated one that came out afterwards that I didn't watch, but this one was like CGI and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't watch the animated one because it was also different. And that's the thing. Like I said, I think it's great that TMNT can be so flexible, but there's certain things that I want to see. So, and like I said, I think this one does a great job. The 2012 one does a great job of capturing all the different sort of hodgepodge of everything TMNT, actually to the point where later in the season, the series, they do this dimensional thing and they meet up with the 80s versions and
saw that.
cartoons, and they bring everyone back. And I think Rob Paulson does double duty of, his original voice and the new one, and they actually bring back all the voice actors from the original for it. So
That I saw. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was cool.
yeah, you know what else was cool? This was cool. Our annual TV Obscura theme song watch list. I think like Zach said, we're gonna do this every year.
Yeah, boy.
We're gonna do a live action one. We're gonna do an animated one. So it'll be next year we'll just do part 3 and part 4, and we'll kind of keep that numbering going and everything. But this was awesome. I loved it. This was great.
Yeah, live
It was so rad.
super rad. No guts, no glory.
Oh, that's a banger right there. Zach, what you got going on? I think in June.
Okay, so in May, celebrated and beloved character actor Dabney Coleman passed away at the age of 92, and Dustin and I had already conducted an interview for $2 late fee and locked in a movie connected to said interview. But then Dabney Coleman passed away, and we both were like, look, we got to kind of pay tribute to this guy because we're big fans of his work. So we did a tribute to him on Patreon that I'm really proud of, actually. Part of me was like, this should be maybe a free feed episode because it's so good, for Tales from the Video Store. And then we said we got to pull the trigger, no pun intended, on the 40th anniversary of Cloak and Dagger. So we're
There you
covering the
go.
movie Cloak and Dagger. I actually have the board game here, the original board game. from
Oh, look
back
at
in the day. And if you go to $2 Late Fee's Instagram in June, I'll be posting pictures of the Cloak and Dagger board game, this cool Secret Agents role-playing game that I had back in the day that I still have in box, and it's really freaking cool. It's like D&D, but with spies and such. Anyways, this movie is probably one of my favorite quote unquote kids movies of all time. And Corey, speaking of watch lists, when Corey and I think Diallo might have done one way back when too. We did a watch list series early on in the beginning of Podcasting After Dark. And Dustin and I did one like most traumatic movies or moments or something like that. And we did it. It's go back to the archives of Podcasting After Dark. And we talked about Cloak and Dagger. And so we bring that episode up a lot in this upcoming episode of $2 Late Fee. So we're covering Cloak and Dagger. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it.
Nice.
Didn't Cloak and Dagger, didn't his mom die?
So yeah, in Cloak and Dagger, Davy Osborne, played by Henry Thomas of E.T. fame, his dad is a widow. It's
So like a Disney movie.
Disney movie, but it had already happened.
I'm just being an a-hole.
Well, the difference being it's good. No, no, it's a tragic tale, but it's a father-son thing. She already died. She didn't die in the movie. Disney movies they have them die in the first 15 minutes and then they move on from that. So.
I'm just watching you squirm right now.
No, it's true though. They do. She already had died. So
So the dad's a widower, huh?
Yes, yeah, and it's a father-son. Well, you'll just have to listen to the episode.
There you go. All right.
But and by the way, I also have the Vinegar Syndrome Cloak and Dagger box set, which is the coolest box set in the history of box sets. It is just like it is amazing. Anyways, I do a lot of stroking to other companies in this episode, like go buy their thing. Whoa, what's stroking going on? Yeah,
I may have to pick that up because I've never seen Cloak and Dagger.
What?
Diallo. I'm gonna go right past that,
Dude.
Diallo.
wow.
Me neither, Corey.
What?
I've never seen it. Yeah.
Whoa, you guys.
You know what? I would love to watch Cloak and Dagger. Maybe next time I come out to visit, we'll do a Cloak and Dagger night, Zach, and all three of us will go watch Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, dude. Looking forward to that.
Diallo, what you got going on out there in the podcasting world? Galactica, actually, not another review you asked for.
We are
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I fucked that up.
It's all good. I always mess it up myself. I can never get it right, like whenever I have to say it. We are just starting it. We're almost to the trial episode, Baltar trial episodes of Galactica, actually. So we'll be hitting those last, 10 or so episodes of Battlestar season 3. And so we're getting close. We're almost to Fake Earth and Real Earth.
Wow.
Or Real Earth, Fake Earth, whatever they are. Season 4. Season 4 it'll be interesting when we get there because the whole show kind of shifts at that point. But yeah, if you haven't listened up to that point, catch up and listen to us discuss Battlestar Galactica. Where the next episode we're gonna be doing is when Chief goes on strike, which is to me is a kind of a fun episode. And then I took a little break from doing another review that you didn't ask for. But I'm going to be doing, by the time this episode airs, I should have another episode up because I'll be doing the latest Mad Max movie.
Yeah.
And also I've been wanting to do like long form video essays. So don't quote me on that, but I have a few that I kind of want to get started. They're a lot of work and like writing them plus doing all the video stuff. But it's sort of like I cut my teeth back in grad school writing really detailed analyses of lots of stuff, and I kind of want to do that with a lot of film, film and TV. So that should be the thing that'll be coming up soon. I'm going to be starting off with Planet of the Apes.
Oh, okay. Very cool. That's awesome.
Series.
We just saw that. We just saw the new one, Bodie and I did. So.
Yeah. I'll be doing the entire franchise, but I eventually want to cover each film,
Very
the
cool.
books and cartoons and everything. So anyway, yeah. So there's that, and I'm on this podcast called TV Obscura, and we do cool stuff.
You've been on it for 38 episodes.
Yeah, I remember in the middle of the pandemic saying, "Hey guys, you guys have anything I can do? 'Cause I'm just sitting here staring at the ceiling, all alone."
I
in
see
the dark.
I see a future with if we ever do a TV Obscura convention, we'll have a karaoke session as well.
Oh man, that would be so rad.
That'd be fantastic. Well, Zach and I. That was weird. Yeah, well.
Yeah, well.
Zach and I are tackling on our Patreon page on Podcasting After Dark's Patreon. That's patreon.com/Podcasting After Dark. Zach and I right now are going through every movie that Don Coscarelli has directed. I don't know offhand when this episode is dropping, but we are up through the Beastmaster right now, and we will be recording next will be Phantasm 2, a movie that we already covered on the proper feeds, but like with the Carpenter Factor, we're still going to cover the same, the movie within the timeline of their filmography. So we're having a blast going through Don Coscarelli's filmography right now, but if you sign up at that tier, you will also unlock the entire Carpenter Factor, which is 2+ years. So we have like 26 episodes, something like that, 26, 27, something like that.
Wow.
So you got a whole bunch of backlog content you can go through and then, catch up and do Don Coscarelli with us. So we got a lot of stuff going on over at the Patreon page, and we have a lot of fun stuff coming up for you guys in the near future. But like I said, we're recording this way early, so I'm not quite sure when this is going to drop and what's coming. But thank you all so much for listening, and we love each and every one of you. And boy, oh boy, do I love doing TV Obscura with you guys. It's a blast, and especially this one. I can't wait for this to be an annual show. Thank you, Zach, for that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is so fun.
Yeah, boy.
When I was editing back and the last episode and just when Zach says this should be annual, I could hear it all. Like oh my God, everyone was so happy about that.
Yeah,
so.
it's there's too many great theme songs to not make it an annual show.
Yeah.
There was especially with the live action one, there were so many things.
Yeah.
I could just talk for days.
Right.
There's so many different shows, and even for this one, there were so many shows like I wanted to do. I didn't know that I could justify putting in my top 3.
Right.
But there's some like really interesting like theme songs that from some shows that also are in the obscure category. So
Yeah.
I just really wanted to.
So every
have a
year
chance
we'll
to
do
go
it.
back and do them.
Yeah, no,
I can't wait.
it's fantastic, and I love the conversation that it sort of, you know, we don't necessarily always talk about the music, but like I love that it opens up a door for a conversation, and I think the watch list does what it's supposed to do, which is to kind of keep the conversations fresh and going. So this is a blast. It's always a blast, guys. All I have left to say is, as always,
Catch you on the obscure side.
Secret Rangers.
Catch you on the obscure
Truly,
side.
truly, truly outrageous.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Support Podcasting After Dark on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcasting After Dark. And visit us next time for another installment of Podcasting After Dark with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim,
And I'm Dean.
and we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.